2.
1.5.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Stache Beard Show.
What's up, motherfuckers?
I'm pissed. You don't even know why I don't say the one.
I do, and it's from, I remember it from Wayne's World when they're like 5, 4, 3, 2. Yeah, I watched it. I know. That's why I know to fuck you up.
Well, in all honesty,
honestly,
you're fucking
like
up. You're
slicing and editing.
Yeah, you're fucking Jody up. So it's yeah. So that's you're fucking Jody up. Fuck that guy.
Love you, Jody.
Love you, Jody. You're the best. This is the Stache Beard Show. Be sure to like, follow, subscribe, comment, all that bullshit. Do the thing so we succeed and send us money for beer.
And, sell meth and give us money.
Fuck yeah, man. I was telling Liz about side note, happy birthday to my wife. She turned 26 yesterday. So
happy birthday. Happy belated.
Yeah. But I was talking to her about our podcast last week and how it's not that I love our podcast. Don't get me wrong, but there are moments that stick out to me that are just so damn funny. And when we went on the riff, I can't remember if it was last week or the week before, when we went out and said, all right, ground rules, only snort coke off of fat asses. I was telling her about that because I know she doesn't watch this shit. And she was just like, who are you? What happens when you're on this podcast? Are you all of a sudden single or something? We're like, no, I'm super married still. But
yeah, no, and that's the thing. There are times that you and I will, is candid the word?
Yeah.
Unfiltered locker room talk type stuff. Yep. But even on that, that's what I love about you. You're like, even as you're talking, even as you're telling the stories about going out and these ladies at the bar, and you're like, hey, left hand here. Do you yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Like, you're still, that's you. That's and for people to know you, that's authentic you. You know what I'm saying? But even hearing some of this shit you were talking about, like, okay, he's just being honest. Hey, this is what I like. I could care less about this, and this is how I'm going to snort coke. Should I ever decide to in the future?
That's right.
Like, it was 100% you.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I strive for is authenticity. Austin the authentic.
It's funny because you know me. I talk pretty much the same way on this as I do at the gym, unless I'm training say Chad's mom or. When I was training Noah's mom, I don't talk like this at all. And
it's way dirtier. It's it's crazy.
My music choices changed. One of my girls just came back down from South Carolina, and she comes in, and whoever I was training beforehand was hip hop and this and that. And as soon as she came in, I was like, oh, gotta go techno. And she's like, oh, Alan, can we go back to the other music? And I was like, but I forget she's 22 now.
Yeah.
I started training her when she was 16, 17. Yeah. And the way I talked in front of her is way different than I would talk in front of you. Mm-hmm. And even when the boys, the boys would come in and train and they're F this. And I was like, guys, the girls are here.
Yeah.
Type of thing. But then as soon as they go, but other than that, I feel like I'm who I am.
Yeah.
On the show. So where even people have been like, oh, you got a podcast, let me know. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. I don't know. You're going to see the real side of me. This is how I really talk. You know what I mean? I don't know.
You're seeing the not so professional side of us.
Well, and that's the thing. When he's like, oh, I've got a bunch of people. He was my marathon runner. He's 51. He's like, oh, I got a bunch of people at Track Shack. They'll, maybe they'd like to see you. And I'm like, I'm not judging books by covers, but I'm like, sure. I don't think our podcast is for those people.
No one is playing our podcast during business hours.
No, we're not. We're not at fucking a business meeting. We're going to strive to be like these guys. We are not. We are not those guys. You want your crew to be. You know what I'm saying? And who knows? You're not going to see us in fucking high school class.
No, definitely not. For sure not.
nobody's going to run home and be like, I saw this podcast today. I want to be just like these guys.
Except
they're fucking making it. They're wealthy as fuck. Like, oh, okay.
That's it. Except the funny thing is because we're so authentic, and this is me getting big head because that's what I do. Because we're so authentic, people want that. So I think we would surprise ourselves in that. I mean, you should be surprised just because of like, that's how you grew the gym. It was you being you, and you attract the people that are like-minded. And so some people are going to watch this and go, man, these guys are awesome. These guys are super cool. They're joking about Coke and are also really nice human beings. Cool. And then there are going to be people that are like, oh shit, they said the F word. But as soon as they
find out we're really nice dudes who do Coke, then they're out.
Really disappointing that they're out at that point.
Disclaimer, Austin doesn't do Coke.
I do not. Never once. Maybe someday, but not right now. Like, I'm not going to rule it out. Like, I'm not going to be like, oh, never, I'm not an asshole.
I know it sounds like something we've talked about, but fucking 21 Jump Street, when they go in and they get a kilo of Coke and like, Jesus, we're trying to show them a good time, not ruin their fucking lives. And then it's a brick of weed. And they're like, there we go. Yeah, I know we've talked about that scene. That's my favorite fucking scene of that whole movie.
Love that. Yeah. If you're addicted to cocaine, that's God's way of saying that you have too much money.
I can agree with that.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. What were we going to talk about?
Coming up.
So, talking about the gym and being an authentic guy, what is your authentic training being like? Oh, that was so good. I used the word authentic. I used authentic like 3 different times. That's so great. Yeah. But in reality, for the entirety of this podcast, you have said fuck lifting because you were in the middle of training. You were getting back. You were bench wasn't doing what you wanted it to do, and squats were being shitty, and fucking you deadlifted something at times, but you were in a lot of pain, and apparently something has changed.
So yeah, like everything, I think I was even telling you, like I was going through a little bit of a learning period on some things, and I had to be patient. And
yeah,
those are the times where you try and find some positive, like, I don't know, there's a gold coin in a stack of shit. Like, you got to go find it. I don't know, whatever. Yeah. Weird old people adages you want to throw at it. But like, these last couple of weeks, so I sat down, I had a heart-to-heart with a good friend of mine, and apparently he was going through something similar at the same time, but we were using each other unknowingly. And so when I talked to him, and it was like, wow, really? He's like, yeah. So we were thinking of each other and using each other for motivation without each other even knowing, type of thing. So he kind of helped me out in some things. And long story short, 2 really good squat sessions. Mm-hmm. Absolutely no knee pain during. Now, after is a different story, but during is what was I just wasn't looking forward to it. It was really, when you're going in there expecting it to hurt really bad. Like, it's not fun. So 2 really good squat sessions, a great deadlift session last week, first time touching a deadlift in 9 weeks. Mm-hmm. And was just super surprised because Dan Bell, talking to him personally, and then even on the show, where after a meet, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks, however long he wants, he just takes some time off. And this was the first time I gave myself a lot of time off. I was just like, you know what? F- it. And so had a good deadlift session last week. First time touching a deadlift in, like I said, 9 weeks. Then we squatted yesterday. That went amazing. Another squat session, no knee pain. And then just going back, just relearning some basics in my shirt, just trying to be humbled by it. And, so we had a really good Wednesday, good Wednesday. So just numbers are what they are. But the biggest takeaway is just having fun with it again. I kind of lost that a little bit, but because of pain, man, like I love going in and I love watching you and watching Liz and Buddy and Tara and all them, Chad and Dale. Loved that. That aspect never changed, but it was definitely just sucked for me pain type. So
yeah,
good to have it.
No, that makes sense. Absolutely. That makes total sense. And so are you still just kind of letting it flow right now, or are you in your mind having goals that you're coming up with?
So I'm gonna attempt to do this meet in September.
Okay.
It's the 9/11 meet up in New York, and
Okay.
I'm a little up in the air about it because I don't have handlers. My two main handlers, well, three. One is busy, one doesn't fly, and the other one I just kind of felt like I was putting out. So I'm still up in the air about doing it. It's a goal as if I'm going to get to it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm going to go. I don't know if that makes sense. I'm aiming to go. I'm lifting as if I'm going to, but I'm acting as if I'm not because I don't have any handlers, and I'm super mental about who handles me. So I don't know. We'll see. As of right now, we're aiming that we're going to go do it. We're training for it. It's like bodybuilding shows. I know guys that'll strip down and get ready to go, and they never do it. They just literally go through the motion. So that's where I'm at.
I will say I've never been to New York. I know I've never handled you, but if you want a dick
super
joke,
easy. All I need is
yeah.
I like tight suit straps, and that's it. Everything else is super easy.
I can do that.
Yeah.
Bring a ratchet strap to like really get it in.
Yeah. No, even on all that shit, I don't require a lot of special equipment. I wrap myself. The biggest thing is
you just need someone there.
Off on a bench press. It's more for me. For me, it's more the mental aspect of the same every single time. Even people like they know tons of people. They know how to pull people into shirts, but it's not the same person. So in my mind, I'm like, I don't need you. You know what I'm saying? I'll wait, which I do. So, but anyway, all that aside, training's been fun again.
Good.
Got several good individuals on my side that have been helping me with movements. And I laugh because my wife's cousin, I started training again, and she's big into yoga. And so I know yoga. I can talk with her. She's like, oh, you know your shit. I'm like, yeah, I know my shit. She's like, well, show me. And I'm like, oh, here we go. So something like thread the needle. I'm trying to thread the needle through my body. I'm trying to show her that I have no thoracic mobility. She's showing me like these pigeon poses, and I'm like, and this is it. But she saw it firsthand today, and she's like, Jesus, Alan. And I'm like, Tracy, this is all you get. Okay, like this is it. She's telling me, she's teaching me things to make it more difficult. I'm like, it's difficult enough as it is. So, but I've got a lot of good people that have been helping me out and with my movements and stuff like that. So, always making sure to reach out to them and tell them thank you. So. Yeah,
for sure. Sorry, we lost us there for a second.
I was going to say you froze again, and I'm talking.
Yeah. I heard threaten the needle, and Tracy learned for real how
that I have no mobility.
You are. Yes,
that's fucking terrible.
I also don't have great mobility, and I'm actually going today. I'm going to a friend of mine's. It's called the Body Lab here in Lincoln. We went to high school together. Rachel Houston is her name. She went to school for chiropractic, and she does. She doesn't just do chiropractic work. She does muscle scraping, and she does. I could look up her website, but she does a ton of different stuff. Very attuned with Dr. Bo Hightower on YouTube. I don't know if you know him.
Never.
But he does a lot of videos with WWE guys and UFC fighters.
Okay.
So
did you say Bo or Bell?
Bo. It's the weird Bo though. It's Beau. Yeah. So I'm going to see her today for the first time, which I'm super excited because I've only ever done the joint, which is get in, get out, get in, get cracked, get out kind of thing, which is fine. But I'm really excited to get to see her do her thing, especially after that weird. This is the weird injury that I told you about, that happened with overhead press.
Your neck,
my neck. I've always struggled with overhead press work Normally it's when it's a grinder of a lift, because in high school I hurt my neck playing football. I went in, I had my head down, and hit my coach put his hand right where my forehead was going to be, and he actually cranked my neck real bad and ended up twisting a vertebrae around, pinching a nerve, and it's something that flares up constantly. And so that's what it felt like, was with the overhead press, but you saying it might be a muscle thing because it's all connected right there.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
What it sounds like to me, like where you did it, it's like when we try to scrunch up to get out, what I will call going into protective mode. It's like you see it a lot on the bench press. People start to do this to get the press up. They go to freak out mode. Adrenaline kicks in.
Yeah,
you're trying to get the last bit of the press to finish overhead, and you're shrugging your shoulders to press out. So you're getting your neck muscles, you're getting your traps in there. So there's a little bit of when I hear this, and when you talk to me, and I was texting you, some weaknesses in some areas of why we revert to these patterns, these bad patterns. Mm-hmm. But it's also is it patterning and teaching, the technique and such. Yeah. So unfortunately, what it sounds like on this, the ones preceding, were good, and then the last one is where we would typically call it. But also on that last one that we called it is where you tweaked yourself. Right. Does all that make sense? Like if people are listening to us, I take a look at you and I say, hey, as soon as technique goes out the door, the set is done.
Right.
And it just sucks because it sounds like on this one, technique went, and not only did we get hurt, and which is why we're done. Other people will take a look at this and say something preceding, so sometimes the pain that we experience isn't necessarily because of that. It's because of something preceding all these previous sets and sessions that, even as you and I are trying to build, we're not there yet. And something tweaked, there on you.
Yeah. So, and I think it's getting back into log press, which is an awkward movement, getting back into strongman and that sort of stuff. Like having to warm up properly is something that I'm terrible at. It's always been,
warm-ups are huge, and everybody's warm-up, everybody, winning warm-ups and, these foam roller warm-ups and these people that want you to come in and do a 30-minute fucking session before your session. It's like, Jesus, man, like
I haven't got time for that.
Well, it's so, and even when I hear that, like, I don't like being told that from my athletes, because a warm-up is important.
Right.
But a 30-minute fucking warm-up session to go into your workout, like, Jesus Christ, man, like, come on.
Yeah.
But also the old school mentality of, we're going to shoulder press, though then my warm-up is going to be the shoulder press. And I do believe in that. I still follow that. But there are certain things that, like I do need some pull aparts. I do need some press downs to lube up my elbows. I do need, we'll call them shoulder breakers, banded dislocations.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, to open up my pecs, as we're going overhead and things like that. So I hear all these things and I throw these things at you guys. So while I still believe in the old school mentality of let the bar be the warm up, mm-hmm. I do like some of this other stuff. Like I do like foam rolling, because believe it or not, the science is, in my opinion, not yet set on what foam rolling does and doesn't do.
Yeah.
In my mind, foam rolling works for me. I'm going to continue to do it. But what foam rolling also does is it gets me moving. So as I'm trying to roll out my hamstrings, my quads, my back, I'm actually having to move. So I'm having to propel myself on the floor, which is movement, and I'm getting loose and I'm getting warm. So I view it as that as well. So are there other things that I could be doing for movement? Absolutely. I could be doing a jump rope. I could be doing a bike. I could be on the treadmill walking. I could go under the barbell, something. So what works for you? What doesn't work for you? Throwing all that stuff in there, pattern movements. My job being distant from you is trying to send you videos as best as possible, so because a lot of times when I write, what the fuck is he talking about? I send a video. Oh, okay. I see what he's talking about. Just making sure I'm still trying to take care of you that way. And then some of these things, man, I don't know bones. You know what I'm saying? As far as like, are they out? So if hey, let's go to a chiropractor.
Yeah.
A lot of people are like, well, why don't you try and fix Austin? I ain't a chiropractor. I've got nothing to prove by saying, hey, Austin, lay on the ground and put a kettlebell on your neck and try to adjust it. Fuck that, man. Go to a chiropractor. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That's outside of my scope, my realm, my professional standpoint. Go get taken care of. That doesn't knock me as a man or a coach or a friend at all. And some people get so butthurt because, like, oh, I'm like, no, you're not a professional. What if you hurt him further? So anyway,
exactly. I don't want that. I don't want that on me. Absolutely.
No. Even movement specialists. People have come to me and be like, well, Alan, you coach, like you don't know. Like, no, I don't. I've got no problem sending you to a Danny or to a Shelly or to a Sarah or an Xavier to go be seen for some of that shit. I don't know it. I know general, but I don't know that specific. And it's no knock to my knowledge and my learning and coaching you to send you to somebody to say, hey, have Alan talk to you about this and start programming this in. Great. Yeah. That just makes you better armed and me better armed to take better care of you. Is how I view
Absolutely.
That. So.
Yeah, 100%. I totally see that. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm excited to see that. I was really excited with bench press last week because it was axle bar. But at our gym, at One Up Gym, so they have a regular axle bar, but then they have an extreme axle bar. I'm talking like that big around. Like my fingers didn't go halfway around it. And it's lighter. It's a 25-pound bar, but because it's so wide, it throws you around. You got to have good finger strength, good forearm strength, that sort of stuff. And I was able to work up to 4 plates, so 385 on it.
Which was really pulling up. You had fat board to a 2 board.
Yeah. Which ended up being like a foam board, if you will, because it was like they don't have regular boards at my gym. They just got a bench block, which I'm super stoked for. But obviously that doesn't fit on a fat bar. So, I went to a foam board. It felt really good. And the thing that made me extra happy about it was I feel like maybe I was bullshitting the guy. So I've been kind of deemed the guy who does weird shit at the gym. Because I use bands constantly. I'm always using a different bar. I'm the only person who does fucking strongman. So like I'm the guy who does weird shit at the gym.
I love hearing that for a couple reasons. A, the gym you're at has all this shit and you don't know how to use it.
Right.
And then the second thing is like what you and I talked about before you took off to Nebraska was taking CTX to Nebraska. And if between you and I, the way that we've trained here is starting something new in there as far as a philosophy, man, I'm all for it. And I'm laughing as you're talking. I'm going through your file here. I'm trying to find the one where I asked you to bench to something. Pins.
Oh, was it?
Where you used a boxing glove or some shit like that? Like,
yeah.
We didn't have a 1 board or.
Actually, that's exactly it. That instead of a 2 board, I used a boxing glove because that's what I meant by foam board for this time. But yeah, that's the exact thing. But the guy who was spotting me asked, "Why would you use a fat bar? Why would you even do that?" Like. And in my mind, I'm like, I don't know, because Alan wrote it. But I had to think about it, and I'm pretty proud of my answer. My answer to him was, well, because it is a more difficult bar to wield. Like you don't have as much control over it, forcing you to work on shoulder stability, so that way you're keeping it in line. You're working on forearm strength, and also you're working on it also works your triceps more because it's going to want to crank you back, having your wrists flop back more just because it's a thicker bar. Am I close?
You had your answers if that's what you felt,
yeah,
okay,
which
then
is
yes.
what I felt.
And so what I'm getting at is the fat bar can make or break a lifter. It could be great for you and shitty for me. All right, because of hand position being a little more open on the wide grip. Trying to get the camera here. So hand position, wrist position. Generally, we like to talk about tricep recruitment with the wrist stacked over the elbow. But maybe for you, the way that it puts the bar in your hand forces you to use different muscles. So this is when fat grips came out, because the grip change, it required you to work differently. So muscle and motor recruitment had to fire differently, because you're like, what the fuck, man? So on you, a fat bar is different for you and causes you to roll your wrist back to get the bar set properly. And I'm not saying that that's good or bad. It's what you have to do. And so your muscles are working different. So the next thing is, because I can't get a grip on this bar, I'm having to stabilize a little differently. You know what I mean? So bringing in shoulder stability. So yes, you are correct. The next person might be like, I don't fucking feel none of that. And I'm like, okay, that's because it's an easy bar for you.
Right.
Okay. So that's what I'm getting at, if that makes sense. So the other reason is because, yes, the grip change, all right? It is a different bar. It could absolutely be harder for you or easier for you. And it's just changing up the way the body has to respond. So, you know, all these things I throw at you, different bars, and like when you get to the Duffalo bar, the reason on the Duffalo bar, you know, to help out with shoulders and where we're at, but also that increased range of motion that makes that lift much more difficult. So there's that reason. Then why floor presses, why board presses, why high pins. So all those things, bands, chains, they all have a place as long as they are making you better. If I'm doing any of that shit and it's making me worse, what am I doing?
Right. There's no point to that.
Yeah. And that's what I say. Like, and so even those movements, everybody wants to come to me and they're like, oh, what reverse hyper? Okay. I like it. But it may not be working for you, or it may be hurting you. Okay, like me and Joe, I can do bilateral reverse hypers and single leg reverse hypers and get a lot out of it. Joe cannot. Okay, Joe, stop. Go single leg. I'll go bilateral, or just different movements. So if they're movements that are making you worse, why are we doing them? You know, like my job is not to train you wrong as a joke. You know, like from that fucking. What's the movie? Kung Pao, Enter the Fist. Oh, we trained him wrong as a joke. Like, no, like I'm not. Yeah, out of everyone I train, you know, I'm up here in Nebraska, fucking Austin up as a joke to train him backwards. Like, okay, but
that doesn't make any sense.
No, but I found it, and you went to a boxing glove that this guy used, because I asked for a shoulder saver bench. You didn't have a shoulder saver, so I wrote you and said 2-inch pause press ? Foam pad. Or Liz holds a foam roller, and you're like, I went with a squished boxing glove. $395 to a 1 rep max is what you got on that. So that was pretty
that sounds about right.
You wrote it was a little training glove that, when squished, probably went to about a 1.5 board. So awesome job on you for finding that out.
This has been the Stache and Beard Show. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Radio Guy Austin, at Actually Average on TikTok. He is Alan Pilley.
And you can find me at all the tags that'll be underneath my screen that Jody puts in for me.
That's right, Jody. Do the work, bitch. That's going to do it for this week. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Later, motherfucker.